Welcome back to Today in Design and SEO Marketing, the podcast you need. I'm Ron Wicker, and in the next 10 minutes, we're going to reclaim clicks you're probably losing right now without big engineering lift. Imagine this. A small product page suddenly loses 18% click-through rate because the search preview language shifted. Sign-ups drop. Panic sets in. That's the hook. Preview text is prime real estate, and when it drifts, it costs real business outcomes.
Let's dive in. We have 5 detect to act moves, 1 sprint task you can run right after the episode, and a conservative 2 to 6 week KPI window to validate impact. We'll keep it practical. Snapshot, alert, test, borrow competitor phrasing, and then measure CTR with conversion metrics. That's the promise. Quick wins that actually move the needle.
Quick human micro case before we get tactical. A product manager emailed us. They noticed fewer signups after an update that changed how meta descriptions were rendered in search results. The copy looked similar, but an important phrase that explained pricing benefits vanished from the preview. Users scrolled past. The team lost trial signups for 3 weeks before they noticed. That's visceral and avoidable.
I hear you. That story nails why previews matter. People often think rankings are the only metric, but preview language is what converts impressions into visits. Okay, we start with point 1, snapshot baseline. Export your top queries, capture title, description, and thumbnail HTML, and take screenshots. Immediate task. Snapshot your top 20 previews right now so you have a baseline to compare against.
Exactly. And practical guardrails. Focus on high-value queries, not every long-tail phrase. One quick tip, prioritize pages that drive revenue or lead volume. Task recap, export your top 20 queries, save the raw HTML and screenshots, and store them somewhere versioned. That's your baseline.
Point 2, auto-detect preview changes. Snippet drift. Set up scheduled diffs that compare the stored title, description, thumbnail against current renders. Keep it light. Daily checks for 10 high-value queries to start. Define false positive checks. For example, filter out changes that are just punctuation, short token swaps, or known platform A/B tests. Task. Set a daily diff alert for your top 10 queries and document a simple false positive rule set.
And don't get lost in flags. One guardrail we use, only act on changes that persist more than 24-48 hours or appear across multiple sources. That keeps teams from chasing ephemeral noise and burning testing bandwidth. Most definitely, persistence matters.
Point 3, small metadata ABs via controlled rollouts. Think feature flags, but for titles and descriptions. Create 2 title variants, deploy to a 5% holdout, and monitor CTR and downstream conversion. Keep editorial usefulness gates. Every variant should still describe the page honestly. Task, build 2 title variants for a priority query and set a 5% holdout.
I love that. Controlled rollouts give you signal without flipping the entire funnel. One practical note, log the variant mapping so you can reconcile Search Console data with internal analytics. And remember, sometimes the small change that nudges CTR up doesn't hurt rankings, especially if you're not changing core content, just how it's previewed.
Point 4, competitor copy experiments. Capture phrasing competitors use in previews that clearly resonates. Is it urgency, specific numbers, benefit-led language? Then run counter copy or thumbnail swaps that borrow that intent, not the exact claims. Task, draft 1 counter copy for a top query that reframes competitor phrasing into your brand voice, and swap the thumbnail if you can test images.
Yes, steal the intent, not the claim. If a competitor's preview highlights 30-minute setup, you might test start your free trial in under 30 minutes only if you can verify it. Editorial and legal checks are a must. That brings us to point 5, measurement and conservative validation. Track preview impressions, CTR, and downstream conversion rate and revenue per visitor over a 2 to 6 week window. Task, pin a KPI dashboard that ties CTR changes to conversions and revenue per visitor.
Right, because a higher CTR that doesn't convert just wastes traffic. Make your measurement conservative. Look for persistent lift across multiple days and validate with conversion rate and revenue per visitor. If CTR rises but conversion drops, roll back and analyze. That's why we always recommend pairing CTR tests with conversion tracking.
Now let's talk trade-offs and governance. Editorial usefulness gates: every change needs to be truthful, helpful, and brand aligned. Don't chase volatility. Require persistence greater than 24-48 hours, and cross-check against Search Console and site analytics to filter out platform A/B tests. Also, document approvals so legal or brand teams can sign off quickly when claims are involved.
A few practical mitigations we use: prioritize queries by business value so teams avoid fatigue, aggregate snapshots over multi-day windows to reduce false positives, and always have at least one person responsible for triage so alerts don't become noise. Those small process rules keep this sustainable.
Tools and templates. We'll put a sample snapshot script, diff rules, an A/B blueprint, and a one-page SERP health checklist in the show notes. Immediate tools. Exports from Search Console, a simple cron job or monitoring tool to capture HTML, and your analytics for downstream validation. Task. Download the checklist and plug one task into your sprint board.
Okay, now the CTA. Try the one immediate sprint task. Snapshot your top 20 previews, set one daily diff alert for 10 high-value queries, or draft one counter copy. Pick the task that will actually get done this week. Download the SERP Health checklist in the episode notes and subscribe so you don't miss these short, actionable episodes. Most definitely, take one small step today.
Quick recap in one sentence. Snapshot your previews, detect drift, run small controlled metadata tests, borrow intent from competitors responsibly, and measure CTR alongside conversions over a 2 to 6 week window. If you do one thing this sprint, snapshot those top 20 previews. That's great. Stick with it. Thanks for listening to Today in Design and SEO Marketing. I'm Ron Wicker. Remember, if you want help turning these playbooks into a repeatable process, ThinkIt Media can design the monitoring, run experiments, and pin the KPI dashboard so your team can move faster. Let's talk about this.